Thank you. So my next guest to bring in, I've got all these talented women. I love it. So my next guest to bring in is Debbie Cormier, and Debbie is another newlywed. Debbie, you out here?
Yes.
All right, come on in. My entertainment guru. Hey. Oh, and she brought wine. Look at this.
Stuff, right?
I love it. So, Christina, you got to give me a wine key. You got one out there? Oh, look at this. Debbie comes prepared. Look at that. All right. So, Debbie.
Yes.
Arpeggio.
Yes.
All right. One of the things we're going to talk about is I'm going to have her give an overview of that, but I want to also give a proper introduction because we talked a little bit in the beginning about affiliations and associations that all the guests are part of. So Debbie works with Rick Latai, another talented individual. We've done many, many events together, so there's your shout out. You can't say that I wasn't nice to you. But I want to kind of highlight the International Live Events Association because it is an important organization to bring all these individuals together. Debbie is the current president for the Rhode Island chapter. So above and beyond her skill set that she brings to helping you plan these events and being a part of all these things, she is dedicated to making the industry grow. So congratulations to you on the presidency, and thank you for all that you do. Give us an overview of what the company is and how you fit into that model.
Sure. So, so Arpeggio Wedding Entertainment, we provide, the first thing we do is we DJ all types of events, primarily weddings. We can do anything from the start of your ceremony to your cocktail hour to your reception. Also, even sometimes for those extra fun couples, after party. We also kind of like to enhance the fun, as we say, by offering our photo booth. We do lighting, and we also have lawn games, which has become an awesome, popular trend.
So that kind of, talking about that and leading into tips and trends,
Sure.
is I mentioned this in my social media that people don't think about how much entertaining there is to do for your guests, because you're thinking, okay, they see the ceremony and then we've got a DJ or the band or what have you. I had a photo booth.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was thinking, okay.
It was our photo booth.
Yeah, it was, absolutely, it was. And then I thought about, okay, so what do we do next? What's the next thing? And this goes to that whole point of talking earlier about, you know, there's the bridal shower, and then there's the rehearsal dinner. And I mean, in my rehearsal dinner, I ended up having a DJ, because it became almost a second party,
Yeah.
or the first party, you know, if you want to think about it that way. But keeping guests entertained and having something for them to do has become more and more popular at it. And depending on your style, whether you're having children at the wedding, don't encourage that, or you're having all adults, there's more things to try to offer now. So kind of tell us, I mean, the photo booth is great, but, and people have seen different versions of it, but what's different about a wedding photo booth than going to an event and you've seen the photo booth?
Sure. I mean, for one thing, those candid photos you're never going to get from your photographer. And we know so many fabulous photographers, but something about being behind a closed curtain brings out some
wacky things.
Wacky things. Also with, you know, their liquid courage. You know, they're just priceless memories. They stay up on a fridge or in an office for years to come. And weddings have really become about an experience. They want your guest to remember the experience. They don't want to just remember, oh yeah, I had dinner, kind of danced, and went home. You want it to be something that they remember, and they say, oh, that wedding was so much fun. Remember that? That's when we went in the photo booth and we did this, and they had this food.
So the guests now are not only going home with the slip of pictures,
correct,
but the wedding couple's getting that, all of them, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes. When we do a photo booth, we have all the photos. They'll print out the instant prints right there for you. We'll do a scrapbook, so guests, when it prints out, you could put one photo in the book, and they could sign a little note, sign their names. The other one goes home with the couple. We put all the photos on an online gallery, which is private, so your guests are all able to go on there and download them, share them, order prints, and then you get a copy of all the photos on a thumb drive with the album when all is said and done.
So I've had people almost telling me that the trend with this wedding photo booth has been that that's your kind of your gift that you're leaving with you, the opportunity to go home with these great photos, and it's tagged with the date and
yes.
You know, and pictures of the couple or whatever. So I've had people that tell me that that's what they look at now, is that that's what you're leaving
Absolutely.
with, because it's a visual memory for you to experience.
We always say it doubles as a kind of a favor. Favors are something we don't really see too much anymore, but if we say it, couples want it, and then when we say, well, the photo booth strip is a favor, they're like, oh,
they feel like
perfect.
they've accomplished something with it.
Yeah, check two things off the list.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Nope.
Have to thank my uncle for this.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So talking about the other games, and this is kind of a tip and a trend in and of itself, but tell us about what some of those lawn games are.
Sure, yeah. So Rhode Island, as we know, is such a popular destination for weddings, and a lot of weddings happen during the warmer months, and there's so many spaces that are all outdoors or the cocktail hour is outdoors. So we typically see cocktail hour as a great time to do our lawn games. So we have cornhole or beanbag toss. You could rent a set from us, or we could custom design one for you, which is then yours to take home. Also kind of
That's
doubles
awesome.
as a great gift,
Yeah.
especially if, the one doesn't know about it. It's kind of nice. We also have oversized games, which are super fun. So we have a giant Jenga, a giant Connect 4. And then we have your classic games as well, such as ladder ball, horseshoes, bocce ball, that type of thing. But it's just something great. I always say it's a great icebreaker for couples, since a lot of the time maybe not the whole family hasn't met.
Right.
So I always say all of our games you can do with one hand and a drink in your hands.
That's perfect. That's my kind of game.
So who doesn't like that?
That's my kind of game. So one of the things that came up to me was a question to ask you was about choosing your entertainment.
Sure.
So, and it was two people going back and forth with me on an instant message on Facebook, was, okay, so the groom has one style of music, the bride has another style of music. What's your advice, and what would you say to make those couples feel comfortable about bringing them together
Sure.
and playing both their styles or combining it so that they're both happy?
Sure. So the first thing is you're coming together as a couple. So this is square one where you have to start with your compromising. I know for my own wedding, we had a little bit different styles, but we both got what we wanted in the end. But a wedding is it's a pretty big chunk of time. So there might be some songs that might not typically be a great dance song where you want to get up and move around. So sometimes songs like that are great to play during your cocktail hour or your dinner, just so you get that in. So there are ways to kind of incorporate a little something for everyone. And we always believe, we want to play the music that the couple enjoys and likes, because then it's their wedding. It puts their stamp on it.
Right.
If we went to every wedding and we played the same playlist, we'd be bored.
Exactly. And so do the
So we
guests.
really love hearing kind of, their favorite artists, their favorite songs, then even watching the couple sometimes say, like, you like that song? I hate that song. It's a lot of fun. And I mean, music really sets the tone for the entire event, for the night. So
It
you
does.
want to make sure that, you put some thought into it.
So from the perspective, and it was another question, and I know the answer because of my experiences, obviously, but the DJ, so I think of Rick. I
Sure.
think of Rick Latai, who's the owner of the company. I think of Rick coming out, and he kind of becomes the MC of the evening. People were asking, is that commonplace? Is it out of the box to ask that? I just thought it was the norm, but apparently it's
Sure.
something that people still need to understand to do that, because I really did, at mine, look to him to kind of tell me, okay, am I going over here to cut the cake, or am I going over here to
Sure.
walk around the tables, and I thought that was great. Is that a new thing, or has that become the norm?
So that
or?
is something that should always be done, because if you think about it, if someone was just there to show up and play music, how's anyone going to ever get introduced? You're going to be standing outside for a long time waiting for those introductions. You might never cut the cake if someone says it. So we always think of ourselves kind of as a conductor for an orchestra. We're very important. We play an essential part in the day, but we're also not the center of attention.
Right.
We're just there to orchestrate, like you said. So we do take it in our responsibilities to, make sure everything is running smoothly, checking in with the couple, checking in with the banquet manager, the planner.
So somebody
back
like
of
Erica
house.
could come to you and say, this is kind of the schedule, you're my MC,
Sure.
you're keeping the flow going for it, and it's not uncommon for people to ask that.
No,
right? Yeah.
absolutely not. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things too, sometimes people don't realize that.
Right.
So I'm really glad that you brought it up, because that is something that, without someone making the announcements, no one's going to know what's going on.
And it's especially when you have a block of time, it does get confusing. It's
Sure.
like, okay, you're over here talking to somebody and you're supposed to, people do want eventually to have the cake or whatever you have that's out there to go with it next. So playlists, and going into this again, I've seen it now where the games have been out there longer, where people have just been going back and forth
Sure.
and playing them, and then the DJ's been going. Do you guys give advice as to, I know you said that you can mix up the music, which is fantastic, and I think
Yes.
that's a great way of bringing everybody together, but do you kind of help and give advice as to how the flow of the evening goes? And I know one of your great slogans is there's the no chicken dance,
No
right?
chicken
No
dance,
chicken
that's
dance,
right.
which I think is fantastic. But there's all these other dances that come into play now, and
Sure.
they can be trends of a favorite song that's out there and a
Yep.
new dance that's created. Can you guys help guide people as to when that flow of that music's supposed to go? And I don't mean like the MC part of the cake cutting, but when it's appropriate to kind of
Sure,
have the
yeah.
evening go that way.
Yeah, so this is something too that, a lot of people, they don't know the order of events. And, there's nothing set in stone. If you wanted to cut your cake before you got introduced, you can do that. We just do what we think has worked well based on our experience. So for one thing, we usually do the introductions, and then we'll do the couple's first dance right then and there, because you already have everyone's attention. Everyone is usually, eyes on the dance floor, so it's a great opportunity to just kind of flow into that, and then typically, do dinner, then maybe the parent dances, serve the main course, and then cake cutting. So we do help orchestrate kind of the timeline of events, but there's always situations too where maybe a parent is no longer with us, so what do we do then? So we've had brides dance with their brothers, grooms dance with two aunts.
And you guys can kind of help people, and I don't want to suggest those things to them, because people wonder in their minds, they're like, how do we compensate for that, or what do we bring up to go in this place? I mean, even from the tossing of the bouquet to the garter thing that's still out there. I mean, those things
not so much, but
but that's what I mean. They transition to other things that are there. And I think that if someone has your own idea, you shouldn't be afraid to ask someone like Debbie, because she can suggest you and say, you know what, I got the perfect placement for when you can put this in, or this is what you may want to do to expand upon that and make it happen. I think there's a lot of unique opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
So before I close out, and again, I'll be with Debbie all night tonight, so you'll probably hear from us again later. But before we kind of close out, what would you say if there was one or two tips or trends that you're out there that you think people should pay attention to right now? Was there anything that you would give advice on?
I think definitely just with the amount of music there is today, there's just so many options out there. Something that we saw this past year was for cocktail hour, a lot of couples liked using instrumentals, but not just like your classical instrumentals. There's lots of awesome groups out there, such as Vitamin String Quartet or Postmodern Jukebox, that play songs that you hear on the radio on Top 40, but they play it strictly instrumentals or with strings. So it's kind of fun to see it, because if you're ever at an event where the couple wants that, you have your guests sitting at cocktail hour and they're sitting there and they're like, wait, I know this. Why do I know this?
Exactly.
And it might be the new Taylor Swift song or something like that.
Point,
so it's really cool. It's really becoming, and of course with all the artists going on concerts and stuff, we have more requests for people wanting different renditions of songs. So not just the album title, the live from Gillette Stadium kind of thing.
So all this information we're going to have up there, and you're going to see these interviews coming out again tomorrow, so that you can go back and ask different questions and do different things for them. But Arpeggio is great, incredibly talented, incredibly helpful, and I was very glad to have all the guests I had today. I'll be with her tonight at Ilea's event. We're going to be in Warwick. I'll throw it out to the Ironworks Tavern. We're excited to be going and joining them. But this is going to be a new thing for us. We'll be announcing the dates where we're going to have specific segments dedicated to this. You'll see the page that Josh Fenton talked about at the beginning of the segment, where we're going to have a lot of information, content, great contributors. If you go up now, I know that Jim Verity is a contributor that's going to be coming on, Megan from Rockstar, Maggie Longo from Harbor Lights. So we've got 3 great industry professionals that we're already adding columns to that page, so be sure you check it out. But thank you for joining us today on The Taste. I'm Rick Simone. I'll see you next Wednesday.